In this video, I'm back from AdeptiCon 2026, and I'm going to show you my booty. I mean... Like I said, I'm back from AdeptiCon 2026 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it was a great and also really busy convention, specifically for me, I guess. If you don't know, AdeptiCon is the largest miniatures wargaming convention in the country, possibly the world. I mean, there are bigger tabletop gaming conventions even in the country, but for just, miniature wargaming, definitely I think this is the biggest in the country and maybe even the entire world. It's 4 days of tournaments and classes and seminars and demos and vendors and just hanging around with friends and seeing all kinds of cool stuff. I've been going since 2010, and this year it was the biggest ever. Around 12,000 attendees from what I've been told from folks on staff and things like that. And though I was busy throughout most of it, I did indeed bring back some booty. Right away on Thursday, one of the first things that I picked up, I was in the Army Painter booth a good deal, especially I think Thursday was maybe my longest day. But I wanted to get around and, look at things in the vendor hall and all that kind of stuff versus just, So one of the right across from us at the Army Painter booth was the Archon booth. Archon had pretty much the biggest booth in the vendor hall. Games Workshop's booth might have been bigger, but it was technically outside of the vendor hall, so technically largest booth in the vendor hall. And this is the first thing that I picked up, which was these guys are Dungeons and Lasers Parasites. They're not for any specific game. They are just really cool little dudes, little weird monsters and like tentacle guys and little strange doggos and bat. I mean, there's a bunch of, like this guy and this guy are obviously the same, and that guy and that guy. So it's not like there's like 16 different guys in here, but still there's a decent amount of things, and it's good for kit bashing and stuff. So that was one of the first things that I picked up, and I think they're pretty cool, and I can see myself using them for all kinds of stuff. Also, right away on Thursday morning, I also went to the the Smash Bash / Sunrot / Hive Scum booth, which was also kind of right across the aisle from us. And I picked up the spiral-bound version of Flames of Orion. Flames of Orion is a mech game that I'm into. It's by Steve from the Hive Scum podcast. I just realized I don't have it here because I left it in my luggage, I guess. I put it someplace so it wouldn't get squished, but I don't know where it is now. So I'll try to slip a picture in here to show it to you or something. Or if I don't know what I've done with it at all, then I guess I won't. Another thing that I picked up in the, Smash Bash, Sunrot, Hive Scum booth was this here set of miniatures. If I can get to focus, there we go. And these are 99% sure sculpted by Trent, aka Miscast on YouTube, but also Trent Holbrook on YouTube if you're watching his vlog channel. Like I said, I'm almost 100% sure that these are sculpted by him, not cast by him or anything like that. He's been working with the Smash Bash folks to do that. But I wanted to make sure that I could grab these. I'm really compelled by this guy, and I kind of want to paint him up sort of cool. I don't know that I'm going to do a display piece. I wouldn't say that either of these is necessarily, at least in my mind, a gaming piece, but I could definitely see doing something cool with this guy and making like a little tiny mini diorama on a plinth maybe at some point. I don't usually do display stuff, but I don't know. There's something about just the pose and the big head and the skinny legs and all that kind of stuff. And these are metal, which I also don't usually work in metal either, but I don't know, there's just something. So when I saw these on the little hooks in the shelves there or whatever, I was like, yeah, I gotta pick that up. Some other miniatures that I also picked up too are some of the new Trench Crusade minis. These are the Sniper Priests. These are the new plastic Sniper Priests. And you get basically like, there's 2 models in here, but they have multiple different sort of loadouts and things you can do. The Sniper Priest with sniper rifle, which, sort of makes sense. And then Sniper Priest with grenade launcher. That's pretty cool. And then one with a machine gun and Sniper Priest with a submachine gun. Now, I have already got in my Prussian warband. I've got a what would you call it? I've got a sniper priest just with a sniper rifle, so I probably won't do this guy again, but I might work on some of these other guys. Sniper priest with a machine gun is an interesting idea, but grenade launcher for sure. So, yeah, I thought these guys were pretty cool, and I was interested in checking them out. And then the other set that got here as well is the Stoßtruppen, or Stoßtruppen, or Stoßtruppen. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but I'm always told I'm doing it wrong, so there you go. There's 5 miniatures in here. There have already been these models in plastic in the Warband box that came out last year, but these are all new loadouts and poses. These are not the same as the ones that were in that Warband box that came out last year. So if you want to add different loadouts or just more of these kind of slightly heavier troopers, then this is the way to go. And there's a lot of really cool different loadouts. The big sword, I think, is a standout for sure. But yeah, they didn't have the other group, the Yeoman, I think. They didn't have any of those there, which was fine. I like these guys a little bit better anyway, just as far as like in-game. But this guy's got a cool shield too. Anyway, yeah, they didn't have those. They had 3 boxes basically there to sell. They had the Warband box. It's been around for a while. These guys, and then they also had the other ones, the snipers. So those are what they had in stock, and so I was able to get these 2, which was very cool. Over at the Game Envy booth, I was able to pick up a book about a good friend of mine. This is the Art of series from Dave Taylor Miniatures, and if you can't tell by the colors and the fact that it's an Imperial Knight painted as Slaanesh stuff, then yeah, it's my good friend Vince Venturella. So he's volume 13. There we go. Vince Venturella's volume 13 in the Art of books. So you probably recognize that guy, right? And these books are astounding. I've got one with Sam in it. I've got one with Anna from Gardens of Hecate. And yeah, they're just really interesting books. And if you're interested in finding more about like the processes and the thoughts behind stuff and things like that from different people, if you want to see Vince in shorts, but still an apron, you got that too. But yeah, it's really interesting, and they're really super cool books, and you can get them through Game Envy. I don't know if they're available on their website. I always have picked them up from their booth at conventions, but check them out. And then another thing I got were these Turbo Dork silicone mixing sticks. I have some mixing sticks that are covered in silicone, but they're basically all hard metal. So there's just a thin layer of silicone over them. And these are bendier at the ends. So they're a little bit more flexible. So I want to try these out too. They're just for they're really nice for mixing, if you're mixing some colors together and then you use the bristles from your brush to kind of mix them together, then it just gets so much paint into the bristles that you may not want. Some people will use the backside of their brush and then do that, but then you got to wipe it off or whatever. With silicone, stuff doesn't stick to it. So these were pretty inexpensive, and I wanted to give them a try. And then while I was standing there getting these from the booth, then I saw this little fidget toy 20-sider as well. This is all 3D printed, and you're like, well, that's a kind of a weird looking 20-sider. Well, it's also this. There's elastic inside there, and so it's just like a weird little fidget toy, and that's fun, right? At least it is to me. So I saw that, and there was only a couple left, and I was like, okay, I'm going to put that in my little basket as well. So yeah, I had nearly forgotten about it until I was digging this stuff out today to do the filming, and I was like, oh yeah, that's so this is going to be in my desk. I also get given a lot of things while I'm at the convention. People will recognize me and say, hey, I wanted to, and I always do appreciate it, and it's very nice. Sometimes I know those folks, sometimes I don't, but I've got a bunch of things here that I will show you. Number one is someone I do know, Brent from Goobertown Hobbies and Casey from eBay Miniature Rescues. They've got a company called, let's see if we can get the logo to focus here, Goblin Hobbies, and strangely enough, they make goblins. That's not really their entire business. Mainly what they do is those cool stamps, where you stamp on a little piece of metal with a little silicone thing, and then you put it on the shoulder pad of the Space Marine or whatever. You've probably seen this stuff. Check out Goblin Hobbies for more. It's good stuff. But they've been making these 3D printed cool goblins that they got sculpted up. Vince is a huge fan. He just loves those goblins. And I think they're awesome too. Now they're doing them in plastic. They're working with War Games Atlantic, and they've got a sprue. There's 2 goblins on here with lots of different heads and loadouts and stuff like that. You got body number 1, body number 2, 2 bases. But you got shields and banners and all kinds of different ways to build them. I got 2 sprues, which means I've got 4 goblins, which means I can make them all different. I don't know if they're selling these, but I bet they probably will be. So, take a look at their website again. I think it's goblinhobbies.com for that. It's very cool. And then let's see here. A person came up from Odd Bit Industries while I was at the booth over at the Army Painter, and said that they'd always enjoyed my videos, and they had started making 3D printed painting handles. I've talked about painting handles and my enjoyment of painting handles in the past, and this one is pretty cool. It comes with like a cork, which gets stuck on if I try to, there we go. But it's basically, it's magnetic up here on the top, okay, focus. It's magnetic up here on the top, and it's also got a magnet on the bottom, so you can stick this to your table so that it will, stick and not fall over too much. This is also, magnetic and adjustable, so you can have your model on here and be kind of spinning it as you're painting and working that way. You've got a cork, you've got a bigger thing here, which is also metallic, I think. I don't know how this goes here. I'm going to have to go on the website and figure out exactly, that goes like that. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there we go. It's just different loadouts. So yeah, it's a really interesting setup for painting, and I'm always looking at different types of like 3D printed, come on. I'm always looking at different types of 3D printed or even not 3D printed handles. So that was very cool as well, and I appreciated that. Necromancers of the Vortex. I was walking around in the Grimdark Alley area of AdeptiCon, and someone came up and gave me this, which I haven't even literally had a chance to take a look at yet, but there's also a sticker and a pin, which you gotta love that. It's a skirmish game from what he said, and it's got necromancers in it, and probably some sort of vortex, I'm assuming, hopefully not a polar vortex. They were playing it there. This has got a nice layout. Very cool. Scenarios. See, this is the deal. People are always like, man, but I can't make a game because I don't have money for artwork. But if you just take pictures of miniatures and kind of get a little fancy with them, in your editing software and make them super high contrast and drop some color in there, you can make really cool looking stuff just with photography. Like, I don't know that any of these are illustrations. You know what I mean? These are, I think, just all photos. But yeah, oops. It's very cool. What is Necromancers of the Vortex? Tabletop miniatures game where the players take on the role of a necromancer who controls a variety of characters to fight for them. It's miniature agnostic, and players will field a single model at a time out of a pool of 3, swapping them out as the battle ensues. Nice. So yeah, check them out. They don't have anything on the... There's nothing on the back about where their website is or the name of the company. Kane Cathane, this is version 0.5 in 2026, so probably still in progress. That's pretty cool, though. Another person who I bumped into, who I've never talked to before, but is very cool, and I like him, and you've probably heard of them as well, is a man named Mike Hutchinson. Mike Hutchinson has made a couple of games you might have heard of. Gaslands is one of them. Hobgoblin is another one, and this newest is called Space Gits, and right there, Mike Hutchinson, Tyler Russo, $1 Billion Clown Farm. I don't know Till Forster, but pretty cool though. Planet Smasher Games. I think, and I don't know for sure, but I think that this might be currently in Kickstarter, because it says here coming soon to Kickstarter, but I think the Kickstarter might be going on right now or is about to. But this is, I guess, a pre-release kind of what the book's going to be like, right? And it's a gorgeous layout and all that kind of stuff. It's just basically a game about orcs getting drunk and fighting. You know what I mean? There is a, what would you call it? It's there's definitely like a bit to it that's more about, because you kind of stack the dice and you have to grab them right and things like that. You can see here on the back, it's all about dexterity a little bit to some degree as well, and it's a skirmish game. Drunken orc on orc combat, dexterity-based gameplay, 2 to 5 players, 45 minutes, full campaign system, miniature agnostic, kit bash friendly, vehicle rules, hella fun. It says right there on the thing. So, and there's an app. You can do a quick screenshot of that and check out the app as well. Although it might not be out yet because, like I said, this is kind of ahead of time. But yeah, Mike and I got to talk a couple of times during the show, bumped into each other, and Vince and I definitely want to have him on our podcast, on the Snarlcast, which is all about indie game design and things like that. So I was very glad for him glad to finally meet him and bump into him, and it was very, very nice of him to give me this here book. I talked to a person named Failnaught, which is not their real name. Christos is the real name. And they've got a little pamphlet game here, which is technically more of an RPG, but I just thought it was really cool. It's called Either Orc, and it's a short workers' rights game about goblins, which is funny because it says orc, but it's about goblins. Well, they're basically kind of the same. This is the second edition. I just love the concept here of just this little pamphlet. This is the whole game. And again, it's more of an RPG than it is obviously a miniatures game, but it's a cool system, and it's about workers' rights and labor. So I'm on board with that as well. Let's see here. What else? Other folks, one of the things I just dropped, unfortunately, but I got 2 pieces here. Skullforge Studios. They do a lot of stuff for a game called Arsenal, which is a game that, in my mind, it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Titanfall 2, those video games. You've got a bunch of people running around with like sci-fi guns and stuff like that, and then a big robot drops down, and you get into the big robot and that kind of stuff. So Arsenal is part of the Blaster magazine, but if you type in Blaster Arsenal, you'll probably find it on the internet. But Skullforge does all the sculpts and things like that. So I bumped into them, and they gave me some models, which I like this type of stuff anyway, so I could see myself easily painting that up. Wandering Wizards, it says they're right there on the packaging, just gave me a bunch of cool little dudes. Well, not this guy. This guy's an extra guy. That was another person who gave that to me, which is very nice. But there's just these little tiny, I don't even know if you can see them really, just little tiny 3D printed sort of fantasy folks. Little tiny wizard that's a lot of fun. I don't know if you get into focus. There we go. Just a little tiny wizard walking around with his little wizard stuff. Wandering Wizards Alberto Comics. So check that out if you're interested in tiny wizards and other stuff like that. Last couple of things that people gave me. The folks from Hive Scum gave me some dirt from the floor. So when they moved into their new studio, I guess they swept everything and then they kept it because, like, waste not, want not. This is basing materials, what this is here. But yeah, it says Hive Scum, dirt from the floor, made in Enfield, Connecticut. And it is literally just a bunch of grit, and they were selling it. And I was talking with Steve, and we were chatting, and then he's like, hey, did you pick up the dirt from the floor? And I was like, and I knew what he was talking about. It's kind of a strange thing to ask someone, usually, at a convention. But I knew what he was talking about because I had seen it there. And I was like, oh, no, I didn't. And he's like, so he went and got me one, which was very nice. I don't know that I want to use it. It's like one of those things you want to keep, like as an artifact, because this is real dirt from the floor. So just FYI. And then one of the last things is a person came up to me. Their name is Zach, and Zach lives in the same town that I do, and evidently works at a game shop. And I don't think I've met Zach previously, but they gave me this, which is again role-playing game stuff. It's compatible with Morkborg, and it's called Louse Volume 1, and it's Short Rest Press, and it's just this really cool, really well laid out zine. It's like an add-on for Morkborg. Morkborg is very all about compatibility. It's all about people can make things from Morkborg, and you just have to follow a couple of rules and put a thing that says compatible with Morkborg on there, from what I understand, and it's like a licensing thing. But yeah, this is super cool stuff. You got not too many colors. You got 3 colors. You got black. You got kind of a magenta that's a little pale, and then you got yellow, which is cool. And it's just really, really interesting. So I thought that was kind of cool. Short Rest Press at itch. No, sorry. Short Rest Press .itch.io if you're interested. And this is the AdeptiCon edition. So yeah, it's just always cool when people see me and are like, hey, I like what you do, and I would love you to take a look at the thing that I do because I think you might dig it. So that's always nice. Last couple of things that were rambling around in my bag that I kind of forgot about a little bit. There's a company called Equilibrium that makes all kinds of cool backpacks and bags and just all kinds of crazy sci-fi, almost kind of cyberpunk stuff. If you've been to Gen Con, you've probably seen their booth. If you've been to AdeptiCon in the past, you've seen their booth and things like that. And they just make kind of interesting bags. They don't ever have them in stock. It's a thing where you go there and you kind of customize and you say, I want this part, this part, this part, this part. And then like 3/4 of a year later, eventually it shows up at your house, which I've bought a side bag, not a backpack, but a side bag from them once in the past. And yeah, it took like 10 months or whatever. But last year at Gen Con, I bought this cool badge, not this one. This is just like a clippy kind of thing that you put on your whatever. And they had some more of these. And so I've got 2 camera bags. And so, you need 2 of these. I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, I don't know what any of this stuff means, but it's just like, it's like typography as design or typography as art, which I think is really interesting. This cardboard thing was not nearly as beat up, but it was one of the first things I bought. And then I stuck it in the inside like pocket on my jean jacket, and then it rode around with me for like 4 days. And this thing survived just fine, thank you. It's just the cardboard thing, which you clip off and discard, even though it's got all kinds of neat crap on it. It didn't take the beating as much. And then the other thing is, and this isn't going to make a ton of sense yet, there was a company called, I believe it is DexCheck, and this is called the Axis Cap Pack. Now you might go, I don't know what that means, Uncle Adam, and there's a reason why. Again, another handle, another. I'm always interested in painting handles. These are extra large caps to go on the painting handle. Now you might say, well, why didn't you get the painting handle? I did. The problem was that they had the painting handles there to show you, but they couldn't sell them because there's an actual, they're not well, I don't know if, maybe there's parts of them that are 3D printed, but the grip that actually goes on the outside is an actual real rubber grip with like the logo embossed in it and all that kind of stuff. And it was supposed to get to them in early March, and evidently FedEx was just still driving it around on a tour of America. That's because that's what FedEx does. It's not so much that they bring you your products, it's that they take them on tour. And so they didn't have any to sell because none of the rubber grips had showed up yet. So the idea was if you buy the set, and then they will put the rubber grip on and then mail it to you free charge, no shipping. So I believe I did get literally a couple days later, I think after the convention, I got the shipping notice. So I can't show it to you unless they've got a pretty decent website. Then I can show you some stuff here, perhaps, so you can kind of get the hang of it or look at it. But I also, like I said, did buy some extra large caps, and those were obviously ready to go. So, but this is how I was reminded that I had ordered them and that kind of stuff. I also got some cool T-shirts, which I also neglected to mention, but I'll try to put some footage of them here. I'm not going to try them on because it's not that kind of show. Both of them actually came from the Hive Scum / Bash and the Sun Rot folks. That whole booth over there, again, Smash Bash. Yeah, I picked those up, I think right away again on Thursday. I luckily had 2 hours before my shift started at the Army Painter, so I could go around and pick up the stuff that I had a suspicion was going to sell out quickly. T-shirts, especially at size extra large, going to sell out sort of quickly, so I was glad to get the ones I wanted. And then, like I said, that spiral-bound Flames of Orion, it's kind of a special edition sort of just because of the spiral-bound. It's really nice just to lay it flat and have it stay open, right? So I wanted to make sure I got that too. Yeah, overall, it was a great show. I felt like I didn't necessarily get as much stuff as I've maybe sometimes got in the past. I definitely also, I didn't really buy any game systems and go, oh, this is a new thing I'm going to get into. Again, Archon was right across the booth from us at the Army Painter, and they were launching all the new StarCraft stuff, and I was seeing tons of people walk around just with huge piles of StarCraft. And I never really played the game that much, the video game, and a little bit I did, but not too much. But honestly, I'm also it's like there's too many models. It's kind of an army scale game, and I generally like the the stuff that's a little bit more skirmish. So I didn't buy that. I've already bought into, Trench Crusade, so I got some more models there. That's the cool thing. They had a great preview on Saturday night where they talked about all the new things that are coming soon. I'll maybe potentially make a video about that, especially if they happen to send me some stuff, which they might, that'd be pretty cool too. They got a 2-player starter coming with some like undersea guys that are like naval raiders, and then some like super religious zealots who carry giant like millstones around their neck and stuff like that, and sometimes have a tendency to swing them around and smack people with them. And those were pretty cool looking too. So it was a great show, and this is my stuff. So again, like I said, AdeptiCon, great time. It's expanded even more. There were more food thingies, like food tents inside. They expanded the big main huge room even more. Bigger tournaments, more events, more indie stuff. Everything about that convention, frankly, makes me happy, and everything just seems to get better year after year. So that's the stuff that I brought back, like I said. And I made sure also on Saturday and Sunday to try to, especially Sunday, try to pick up any last little things I was looking for and stuff like that. But I didn't take any classes. I didn't go into any games or anything like that. I don't generally do that type of stuff. Vince and I did do a live version of our podcast, which will be something that you'll be able to get. It'll show up on Monday. So this goes live on Friday, Monday the 6th, I believe, of April. The live podcast will be available to see on our YouTube channel for Snarling Badger Studios. I'll put a link down in the description. Why not? What do you think of my AdeptiCon booty? That's a question, right? Were you there? Did you go to AdeptiCon? Did you have a great time? What did you miss? Let us all know down in the comments below. And if you like these booty videos, which again is a strange thing to say, some depressmentation of the like button does actually really help to get it around, Also, if you want to see videos like this every single Friday, I mean, not just like this, but other videos every single Friday, there's a subscribe button down there. You could hit that as well. It's free. Thanks for watching.